you're still seeing the VMware, right? Get into PC.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we already talk about this. As a system administrator, you have to know the different type of servers that you want. We identify the different type of servers for your institutional needs based on the size. You know the type of servers that you want. We already do that. Now we will have to purchase the servers. After purchasing the servers, you have to install the servers and set your uh, Active Directory, set your domain controllers, set your roles, make the servers work for your institution. In order to do that, we cannot do this in a physical machine to do the practical. So what we want to do is I will use my computer as a virtual machine. So we need to download a virtual software, which is the VMware Workstation 11 free. Okay, and then we install our Windows Server on the virtual machines and configure it. It's the same as the physical way of doing this. So let's begin now. Okay, our first steps will be setting up our environment for learning Windows Server. Okay, we are going to set up, we are going to set it up on a virtual machine. A virtual machine is a separate operating system that runs independently, but side by side with the host operating system. It uses your computer's hardware, but any changes made within a virtual machine will not affect your host operating system. Like if you delete any Windows that you installed already, it has nothing to do with your host operating system. For example, I have a computer with operating system Windows 10, and if I install the VMware workstation, it has nothing to do with the operating system of the Windows 10. If I delete any operating system that I install in the virtual machine, it has nothing to do with the VMware. It's just a separate operating system that is hosted within the virtual machine side by side. Okay. To do this, we are going to use a software called VMware Workstation 11 free version. There is a free trial because there is a paid version, but for the purpose of this course, we are going to use the free version. Okay. In order to set this up, we are going to use a free version. You can access the VMware Workstation by going into vmware.com product workstation. But in my case, I am just going to uh, go to the get into PC. This is a site that you can get all the software. I will just go here and type for the VMware Workstation. We are going to select a trial free version. I am running Windows 64-bit, and so I am going to hit download. Once the download is completed, we will open the installation. From here, I will just search for VMware Workstation Trial Pro and then search for it. Okay, this is the VMware Workstation 11 free trial version. I will click on it. You go down. Can you see the download button here? There is a download button. I will click on the download and wait for it to download. Once I click on the download, it is now getting ready to download. Okay, can you see? Can you see? I have it now, VMware Workstation Trial, ready to download. I'll just click download. Are you seeing the download?
Yes.
Yes, it is now downloading. You can see it is now downloading 3%, 4%, 5%. It will download very fast. But because my network is good, it will download very fast. And but the size is about 4 point something gigabytes. Okay. Now the download VMware workstation, it's growing. So let's say the VMware workstation download is now done. Okay. I want to now do the installation. Can you see my desktop?
It's blank.
It's blank.
We only see in white, I don't know, white background.
Okay, let me share my desktop because the file, the VMware's workstation file that I download already, it's in my desktop. So I want to, I need to present my, are you now seeing my desktop?
Yes.
Can you see this get into PC up?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the VMware workstation that I already download. Okay, now we will install it. You double click on it because it's a zip file. You double click on it, it prompts you to enter the password. When you download something into get into PC, they give you a password. I will type 123, the password, and then it will open. Because we are using a trial version, so I don't need to buy it. Once you double click on it, it will extract the VMware workstation for you. Okay. So we give it a little time. It will pop up the window for us to install the VMware workstation. We will simply follow the default settings. You see, it is asking us now to install the VMware workstation. It is asking us to load the VMware workstation. Okay, we will simply follow the default setting. Should be fine for most installation. Okay. Once the installation is finished, we will click finish, and then we will open our VMware workstation before we create our virtual machine and install Windows Server. Because I already installed VMware workstation, so it is asking me if I want to replace it or repeat it. So I don't want to do that. I'll just close this. But know that once you prompt the installation wizard, you just click next and then follow the default installation until you're done. You click finish or exit. So in my case, I already have the VMware workstation up and running, already installed. I'll just click exit. But in your case, you will click finish. Okay. Do you get that? Now I have the VMware workstation already installed in my computer. Can you guys see this VMware already installed in my computer?
Yeah.
Okay, we will go ahead and then double click on it to open. Okay, I double click on the VMware workstation to open and it opens. This is the interface that you have, and it's asking you to go for a Lansing key. If you get a Lansing key, you enter it. Okay, I don't have a Lansing key. We're using a trial version, which is going to be in 16 days time. Okay, this is your virtual environment. Once you install VMware Workstation, it gives you the virtual environment like this. Okay, now we want to install our Windows Server. Okay, we want to install our Windows Server 2012. We need to obtain the installation medium from Windows Server 2012. We need to update the ISO file or the CD drive or like a normal installation. If you want to format a laptop or a computer or a desktop, you need to have the image, the installation file in a media, like in a hard disk or in a CD or in a flash drive that you put in the physical computer and run your installation. The same way, but normally when you installing Windows Server, you can use a bootable CD, DVD, or a USB flash drive. But for the purpose of this course, we are installing on a virtual machine. So we will request a special file called an ISO file that will allow us to install Windows Server 2012 as if we are running it into a physical disk. Okay, to get this file, we will going to obtain an evaluation copy of Windows Server 2012. To do that, we are going to head over to Microsoft TechNet Evaluation Center. First, I will just attempt to create a virtual machine. Once you click virtual machine, you see, typical is recommended. So we are going to use the recommended virtual machine that is recommended for us. We click typical. Once you click typical, it will ask you to browse here because we want an installation media, an image. Okay, you will browse here to pick the image. Okay, to pick the image from your computer. That's the ISO file that you download. Okay, in order to download the ISO file now, in your case, you don't have the ISO file. So we are going to download an ISO file. Okay, by doing that, we go to Microsoft TechNet Evaluation Center to download our ISO file. Okay, so let me go to Microsoft Evaluation Center to download the ISO file. Can you see my browser now?
Yeah.
What am I typing?
Microsoft Evaluation Center.
Okay, now we go to the browser and we search for Microsoft Evaluation Center. This site will help us to download our Windows Server ISO file. Okay. Microsoft. Because my H and G is not working in my keyboard, but once I type this, it should able to recognize that I want to download through the Microsoft Evaluation Center. This is a Microsoft Evaluation Center. Okay. Once you click on it, you go to Get Started. Okay. Get Started will allow you to choose what do we want to download. Can you see this Windows Server? If you want to download the image file for a window or SQL Server or any others, you can do it here. But in our own case, we are going to do this. We click the evaluations and then we click View All. Okay, we're now going to download. Okay, you select the server 2012 R2 or release 2 in order to download our evaluation copy of the Windows Server 2012. We need an ISO file. Once you hit this, okay, can you see that we need an ISO file?
Yeah.
Okay, I select the ISO file. We need an ISO file. We will hit register and continue, and we will fill in the information. Some of this information is not necessary. For instance, I can select orders for my role in my company, institution, or you can select a different name, or you can select a different email address to sign up to Telnet communication. so that your information will be recorded as if you want to purchase this in the future, or if you want to request for a launching version. Okay, so I will go ahead and click continue so I can fill this information. For example, I can give a different name, or I can like the name in my company, I will just choose UTG. The size, I just want to maintain 2 to 4, and then the job title. For example, this information is not necessary, but in case you want to purchase this version of Microsoft, if in case you want to request this launching version, this is the information they will use. But for the purpose of this course, we are just going to do a trial, so no need to fill in correct information. You can just fill in information. So once you finish filling in this information, then continue. Okay, now here you select the operating system that you want to download. I want to use a 64-bit operating system because my physical machine is running 64-bit operating system. Okay, from there you select the language. You can choose the language that you want your server to be configured. If you're working for a Chinese company in Tanje, you want to select Chinese language so they can able to know the resources. If you working for the purpose of this class, we will just maintain English, and we hit download. Once you hit download, it will prompt you to download this. Okay, this is a large file, about 4.2 gigabytes, so it may take a little while to download. Once download is done, we will go back to our VMware workstation and we will click create a new virtual machine. We are going to use the typical configurations, and then we will select installation disk media image file. Okay, now I will hit download and allow this. It is downloading now. Okay, so once the download is done, we will exit and then move to the next step, which is the installation wizard. Do you get back to my virtual machine? Can you see the VMware workstation now?
Sure.
Okay. Now we will create our new virtual machine. Since the installation media is already downloaded, the ISO file, we have it in our desktop. So now I will just create the virtual machine and call the installation media, the ISO file, and run it. So you click create virtual machine, and then you use the typical recommendation. Okay, I will just, here I will select installation disk image file, which is the ISO. Okay, that we download it. We have option to change our virtual machine name and select location for the file. We can just browse here to select the file. Okay, once you select the file, it's already here, it's already selected. You can see user Lenovo desktop. That's where I store the file. I click next. Here I can change the server. For example, we want to change our server name, Windows Server 2012. This class is what? System admin and security, right? One. This is how we want to name our server, system admin and security one. Okay, and then we will want to maintain the installation media. We select next. Okay, now keep in mind that you will need enough storage space, okay, to handle approximately 60 gigabytes, okay, which is the default here. You can see we have a 60 gigabyte storage, which is the default in a virtual machine. Okay, here we can change the maximum hard disk size. If you don't have enough space for the 60 gigabytes, you can turn it down. Like, but it is recommended that you stay above 40 gigabytes. For example, if my physical computer does not have enough storage to accumulate the 60 gigabytes, I can reduce it to 60 to 50 or at least 40. But it is recommended that you use a space of 60 gigabytes in your virtual machine. Okay, I am going to leave it at a default settings. So we will start and then uncheck the power into. For example, I will leave this setup default, which is the 60. Go to next. This is the power on virtual machines after creation. I don't want that. I don't want my virtual machines to automatically come on after creating it. No, I just want to power it off. Once it is done, I will do it myself. You can see that the Windows Server 2012 System Admin and Security 1, we are trying to configure the location of the file, the workstation, which is 11 point something, and the operating system, which is Windows Server. You can see how many GB, which is 60 GB, and the memory and everything, it's been allocated for us. Okay. We click finish. Now our virtual machine is set up and it is ready to install Windows file, Windows Server. All right, we are going to set up our virtual machines and we will install our ISO into the virtual CD drive of our virtual machines. Now we are ready to power on and install Windows Server 2012. Once you've done that, you get this result. Now we are ready to power on. Can you see power on this virtual machine?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and select the VMware workstation that you made, which is the Virtual Server 2012 System Admin and Security 1, and power on this workstation. Once you click power on, you will see a screen just like you will in front of a physical media. Okay, I don't want to see this again, so this is what I will do. Okay, the installation will begin very similar to installing Windows or other operating system that you normally install. Okay, we will select our language and keyboard and then hit next. Give it a little time for the Windows Server to load the image file to the CD drive. From there, we will just continue the installation process. You can see can you see the installation is just like the same as installing normal Windows on a physical computer, but we will install our Windows Server 2012 R2 to our virtual machine now. From here, you select your language, you select your region, you select the keyboard that you want to use. The next thing is to click next. Okay, once you click next, then install now. Can you see setup is starting up?
Yeah.
Okay. There are several different versions of Windows Server 2012. In fact, there are 4 different types. That is the Foundation, Essential, Standard, and then Data Center. Okay. With this evaluation copy that we have, that we download, we choose the Standard and Data Center. For this course, we are going to stick with the standard evaluation. Okay. This is a standard evaluation. We can see standard evaluation, standard evaluation. Now, when you are selecting the operating system editor that you want to use, make sure you select the one that has the GUI, the graphic user interface. You will be present with the launching term for Windows Server 2012. We will accept that and click next. For example, here, you expand this bar, and then you can see this is the one with the GUI, graphic user interface. We want to select this one because otherwise you will not have the interface to work with your server. So select the standard evaluation with the graphic user interface, and then you click next. Okay. Now we are presented with the launching time, and then we will just accept the launching time, and then click next. Okay. We are not doing any upgrade, obviously. So we are going to install Windows only, and you will see that we have one virtual hard disk that is available to use. So we will go ahead and click next. This is the Windows that we want to install, and this is the one virtual hard disk. Can you see this is the same amount of hard disk that we specified during the setting of our virtual machine, which is 60 GB. So we will click next. Okay, you can see Windows will begin copying Windows files, getting those files ready for installation and finishing up remotely. Okay, updates and settings, all the settings, the process may take between 5 to 15 minutes. Okay, depending on the speed of your computer. So we will skip ahead, or we will pause this recording, okay, to the end of the installation. And once the installation is finished, we will automatically restart our server and then move on. But in our case, there is no way we can pause the recording. So once we pause the recording, we lose it because we are not using a particular recording software. So we just give it a time. My computer is a bit fast, so in about 5 minutes it will finish installation. If you will install on a physical machine, it will also restart after finish copying the image files and getting ready for installation media. It will continue after rebooting. Once the computer has restarted, you will be prompted to set up the built-in administrative account. I will type in a password and click finish. Okay, once this is done, it will prompt, the computer will restart automatically as the way that you do it in a physical media. But in this case, it will restart, and then once it restarts, it will ask me to log in again. In order to log in, I will be prompted with an administrative account that Windows Server will automatically create for me, and then ask you to set a password for that administrative account. You set the password for the administrative account, and then you click finish. Once you click finish, now your server have an admin and you have an account, a password that you need to log into your servers and then continue the configuration. So for the purpose of the lecture, we will just hold on for a bit and then allow the installation. Okay, we can have a little discussion until the installation is finished. If you have any question, or if you missed something so far through the process that we take up to this level that we are installing our servers into our virtual machine now, you can ask me. Did you all understand the process, the method that we use up to this level?
Yes, we do.
Okay, you know, this
I
this
have a
supposed
question.
to be okay. Go ahead.
Um, my question is very simple. We using Windows 2016, right? 2012.
Yes,
Why didn't we go for the latest, like 2016 or 2019?
because it was difficult to download it. I keep trying. I downloaded 2019, but I could not complete it because the network is poor.
Oh, okay.
Once I start downloading it, it's keep giving me errors. But the 2012 is a version that I have some times ago. I store it in my computer. So I even tried to download the 2019, but it was just failing. Once it is about to finish, it will just fail. The network is poor, something like that, and start again. So I have no hope of getting the 2019. So I just stick to the 2012. Remember, I requested for the softwares, but it was not available for me. So I have to do what I can do on my own level for the purpose of the practical anyway.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, good good morning, Mr. Sir.
Yes.
Could you please explain the major differences between Windows Server and Linux Server, and which one do you prefer to be installed in an organization?
For the server side, Linux is more security oriented and it's more easily configured. Linux is recommended to be used for our institution for security reason, because for the Linux operating system, Linux is an open version or open source code that you can use within your organization, and you set the way that you want it. You can develop it or you can change the code to run the way that you want your institution to function based on the security policies or protocol that you need to set up. Okay, but also Windows, they have some advanced features of setting up those security protocol which cannot be breached as well. So it's up to you. Sometimes it's based on choice, but we know Linux it's more secure, and we know Linux is more uh, good for the server and the system administration work. But again, Windows is more user friendly depending on the individual who is working within the system admin environment. So if you need a more friendly software or more friendly version of a server, you're recommended to use the Windows, because which is have a more friendly interface. But if you know advanced level of coding, definitely you can use the Linux, which is more secure, and then for your institution as well.
That's fine. And then sometimes I think there are some organizations who install both Windows and then Linux server.
Yes, you can run them simultaneously, because normally you don't have one servers running in your institution. You have different servers. But for the purpose of this class, we just want to install one server, understand how server is set, understand how Active Directory domain controls are set, and understand how organizations, we create units inside, we create users, we create group, and we activate the group policies, and we allow people to work together, whilst you sitting somewhere as a system admin to manage all this process, to accept people, to deny people, to create password, to reset password, to give people permission to belong to a particular group, to do particular tasks, to deny people access to certain levels, certain files. We're just doing that for the purpose of a real life situation, okay? Not just the theoretical reading. But of course, when you're setting your institutions, you can have different operating system running, different software running. Okay, you can have different servers, Linux, you can have Windows, all running simultaneously, because you will be installing different servers. So let's go back to our installation. Can you see our installation media is almost done? Have you seen this? It's finishing up.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope all of you are seeing my screen right now. Now Windows have successfully installed. It will restart like in a normal physical computer. You can click on the restart or allow the computer to restart itself. Okay. Now the Windows server has been successfully installed in our virtual machines. Okay. I have to now set up uh, the inbuilt administrative account, which I am going to be prompt with. Uh, in order to do that, you have to click in Windows. When you installing Windows Server on a virtual machine, you have to press Control Alt Delete to sign into the virtual machine again. Okay, Control Delete won't work on you presently, so you have to press Control Alt and Insert in order to log into the virtual machine again. On a physical machine, you will just press Control Delete, okay, and it will log into the virtual machine. It will log into the physical machine. But in our own case, for the virtual machine, you have to press Control Alt Delete or Control Alt Insert in order to log in. So it will show us that information. And once we have that, we press Control Alt Delete, and then we are prompted to set up our administrative account password. Once you've done installation, you see that the computer will restart. several times. The same way will happen to our server 2012 installation. It will restart several times, and then once all the features are activated and installed, we will go ahead and start doing our configuration, which is the server management environment that we will have. This should not take long. It should take maybe 1 to 2 minutes at most. So give it a little time. You will be having a lot of this start and restart, because you have to allow your computer to keep restarting and installing all the features that are necessary. Once a feature or a tool is downloaded, it will ask you to restart again. But in the virtual machine, it will not ask you to do that. It will automatically do it for you. So you just have to wait for it to finish. And once it's finished, it will prompt the lock keys, which is the Control Alt and Delete, and ask you to press those keys to be able to log into your administrative account. And this is the normal way you install a server. On a physical server, on a virtual server, it's all the same installation process. Okay, now we are prompt with the inbuilt administrative accounts that you can use to sign into this server, this computer. So we are prompt to create a password for it. So I will create a password for it. Okay, it will ask me to repeat the same password. This, you as the system admin, this is the administrative account that you will sign in, create your own password so you can set up the server environment to work for your institution. We click OK, and then we allow it to finalize. You see, once it is done, everything is done, it's asking you to press Control Alt Delete to sign in. Without this, you cannot sign into your virtual machine. You cannot sign into the server. You have to press Control Alt Delete. In a normal physical machine, it will ask you to press just Control and Delete, or sometimes Control Alt and Insert. But in our own case, we will press Control Alt and Delete. Once we press Control Alt and Delete, now it takes us to the, you see, it is preparing the security updates for us. Okay, it's asking us to enter our password. I will just enter the password that I created recently, and then hit enter. The server management window will open. Soon the server management window will open, okay, giving me an overview of my server. From here, we successfully installed Windows Server on our virtual machine, and from here we can begin to set up our environment, okay? Now that we have a working Windows Server, you see, this is the server management that will open our server environment and show me a different layout, okay? Now that we have a working Windows Server 2012 installed, our next step is to create a Windows domain. Yeah, before we do that, I just want to, let's wait for our server management to, if you have any difficulties, you can see we have the Windows Server, and this is the launching times and all that. Okay, it's now loading our servers. But if you have problem to have the server management software, you can just click on this one, That's the window button, and then you select the server management window. Once you click on the server management window, it will automatically come on for you. But in our own case, we already have it, so we just get to the server management software. Can you see now? Now our server it's installed. Everything is installed. Welcome to server management. Now you as a system admin, after you install your server, it's not like you just leaving it like that. For example, someone just asked before whether you can have both Linux and uh, Windows operating system server in your running in your institution. Yes, from here you can see all servers. If you have more than one server, it will mark the number. Because we only have one server, that's the one we just installed now. That's why it's give us one, and our local server is only one. Okay, you see we have no roles that we set or groups or whatever. But if you have another operating system or other servers that you install, you will definitely have them here as listed before. Okay, now we are done with our Windows Server installation, and we have the server management software available for us. So our next step is to create a Windows domain. What is Windows domain? A Windows domain is a computer network where user account, computers and resources and securities for all those things are stored and defined on one or more servers that could call domain controllers. We call it a domain controller. It's the domain that will control our someone on your mic. It is interfering with my
Abulai Sise.
your mic is interfering with my speech. Okay, which is called a domain controller. Users and computers on the domain are authenticated through the domain controllers, and the permissions to the resources are based on user account and the group that contain this user account. So with that information in mind, it is time to set up our Windows server as a domain controller and create our first domain. Okay, for the remaining of this course, I am going to use a VMware workstation in a full screen mode. Okay, in order to do that, you go to the top of the VMware workstation, and you saw here, you can see this is the full screen mode. Once you click on it, it will go to full screen mode. Okay, if you want to exit full screen mode, that's the same thing that you will do. You go to the top and then click exit button for the full screen mode, and then you can exit the full screen mode. Okay, this will help and enable you to have access to the entire window. Okay, so that what you're doing will be clear to your audience. Okay, when we first set up our Windows server and log in, we should see the server utility. That's what I am telling you. You can just see this available automatically. That's the server management. Otherwise, you can just go to this Windows button, click on it, and then it should take you to the server management here. You click the server management and it will take you there. Okay. There is some steps that you need to do before you reach to the configuration, but in our own case, our computer set it up automatically for us. So we are going to go up to configure this local server. To set some of those options first, we need to give our server a name in the top left hand corner. Here we go to configure this local server. Once you click configure this local server, you can see that we already have a name for our server, okay, which is win.des. Once you click on it, it prompts you a window, okay, that you have to add a name. If you want to change the name of this server, we can change it to system admin and security 1, system admin and security -001. This is how I want to rename my server. You can click apply and then okay. Once you sign out to the server, it will and restart it, it will automatically change the name to system admin 101. Okay. Another thing we want to do here is we want to configure our Windows updates. Okay. we want our Windows server to update, we need to turn this automatic update on. Okay, we're turning the automatic update on. We'll want to turn on this Windows update settings. When you click them, it will show you what the current setting is, which is this. And then we are now checking for updates. Okay, I have already turned mine on. So in the next slide, once we configure our network, you will see that it will start to check our updates. But for the meantime, we will just leave it like this. Okay, another thing you want to do is to check your time zone, because your server should also be running on your local time. Okay, we also want to make sure that our time zone and our time are set correctly. I prefer setting up this using the internet time. Okay, which is you can select here automatically and allow the computer, the server to pick the internet time. Okay, once you pick the internet time, it will automatically set it for you. There are some inbuilt options for the time. Well, for this time saving, we will not just go into those inbuilt functions. We will just use the protocol of the internet server, and then we allow it to change date and time. So which is this date is correct, but the time it's wrong. So we want to change the time, which is not 2 a.m. or 8 what? It's 9:20 something. Yeah, this is the correct time. So we just set our time and then we click OK. Okay, you can see here there are some other options on the left hand side that we'll want to configure, as well as defined Windows Server. For example, Windows Server Firewall, we want to leave it private. Okay, remote management, we enable it. Okay, and then the remote desktop also we disable it. Okay, NIC terminal, it's an option that allows you to combine different physical network interface, okay, to our to one IP address. Well, we will skip this for now, and then we move on to the IP address. Okay, since that and more advanced features, we do not need to configure a static IP address. For this server, we will use the configuration of the static IP address. Okay, the reason why we want to configure our IP address to be a static IP, because we don't want this IP to be a DHCP server. Okay, because it will change, and in the future that can cause us a problem. So we want to set the IP address for the server to be a static IP address. Okay, by doing that, you double click on it. Oh, why is it? Okay, we allow it to come. So let's go ahead and configure our IP address to be static. You double click on it, and then it will give you the internet. Come to the internet and then click on status, go to details here. So let's go ahead and configure our IP address to a static IP address. Okay, when we click our current configurations within the server management, we will be present with a list of the Ethernet adapters. Okay, click on the status and then click on details. You can see that we have this is our IP address. Our IP address is 192.168.159.130. Okay, and then the other one, that's the default gateway, which is 192.168.159.2, and then the DHCP server, it's .254. We want to also change our domain name server, which is 2. Yes, this is the different type of IP that we are more interested in. That is our DNS server, which is 192.168.159.2, and our default gateway, which is the same. and then our IP address, which is the 130. Our subnet will automatically add itself. Okay, so you have to take a pen or take note of this. Okay, once you take note of this IP address, because the same IP address that you're going to use or that you're going to configure to your physical machine. So I need to take note of this IP address. So once I am configuring this Ethernet again to a static IP address, I can give the static IP address. So we will go back. Click on properties. My computer begin to slow. Okay, but we allow it. Soon it will. We go back, click on properties. We need to configure our IPv4. Okay, that's the TCP IP version protocol 4. Once you click on it, select it and click OK. Allow it to load. My computer begin to slow, unfortunately. Oh, I think I clicked it more than once. But soon we will be done with this configuration. We want to use this. I click this window several times, so it is giving me no worries, no matter how. Just give it a little time. You should come, man.
Double click it, double click it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, you double click on it instead of click and press OK. So I was clicking on click next or OK, and it was not working for me. So I double click on it and it's activated. So we want to set up, use the following IP address. We want to use the IP address as a static IP address that we created before. Okay, what's our IP address? You take note of it. 192. 192.168.159.130. I think this is our IP address. If you guys take note. So once you click on this subnet mask, it will give you the default. And we need the gateway IP as well. That is 192.168.159.2. We also need the DNS IP, which is 192.168.159.2. Okay. Once we are done with that, we click on OK, and then we click OK. We're done with this. We configure our IP address already to the IP version 4. and we give our server a static IP address. Okay, if you come here and click install updates now, you can see that we have our server have an internet, and then it will install all the updates automatically. Or window environment here. Someone on your mic and it's interfering with us. You are set to automatic install updates. You can see that our server now it's set to update with install updates automatically. You can check updates, view updates, and install updates all the time because we already configured our IP address, and then our DHCP server is working fine. Okay. Now we go back to our server management dashboard after configuring our local server. Okay. The next step is to add role and features. Okay, let's go back to the dashboard on the server management, which is here, and then we click on the add role and functions. Okay, add roles and features is to add the Active Directory domain service roles and add roles and features as well of the Active Directory domain controllers. Once you click add role and features, a wizard, like the installation wizard appear, and we will click on next to activate the active service domain controller service roles in a role-based and feature-based installation, so that the default settings is preferable. If we have multiple servers in our pool, which is right now not the case, we only have one server in our pool, so we will just select the roles in a different server if we have multiple servers in our pool. But in this case, we only have one server, so we are going to install this on a local server. Okay, we will select Active Directory domain service and then click next. Okay, here you click next. This is the role-based or feature-based installation that we want to install. We will click next. Okay, this is the server that we just created. We will select a server for this from the server pool. So we only have one server. This is the server that we just installed right now. That's the 2012. We will select that one and then we click on next. Okay. From here, now we want to Active Directory domain service. Where is Active Directory domain service? This is Active Directory domain service. We want to select it. Okay. Once we select it, it asks us to select the other features and tools that will come with the Active Directory domain service and the group policy management. You can see that we add the feature which allow us to select file storage server 1 of 12 install. You can come here, go to features. You also have the NET framework, that is 4-point features 2 of 7 install. Group policy management, you need to install this by all means, so that once you apply a policy to a particular group, it will appear to all the other groups. Remote server administrative tools, you need to install that as well. You tick all the necessary ones, and then you come to the Active Directory domain server, click on it, go to the configuration. Don't restart the external server automatically if required. No, leave it open, and then you can now start your installation. Okay. We are setting up a domain. Once the role have been installed, we will be prompt to perform an additional step that is necessary in activating the roles and the features. For example, we are going to set up a domain controller, and we will need to take advantage of the Active Directory domain service. So this service needs to be promoted to a domain controller. An Active Directory domain service configuration wizard will also appear after this one. Once we install this role and features, we need to promote this server to a domain controller. So we allow the roles and features to install in our server. This will take just a few minutes, maybe 1 or 2. Then we move on to the next level. Okay, we give it a little time. Soon it will be done. Once we are done, we will promote the server to a domain controller, and then another wizard will appear. We first be prompt to select a deployment operation. You will see three options. You can add a domain controller to an existing domain, add a new domain to an existing forest, and add a new forest as well. From there, we just want to create a new forest because we don't have any domain or any forest that exists in our server as well for now. Are you guys catching up with the installation and the process so far?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay, it is unfortunate that we don't have the tools that we need to do all this tutorial, so we have to search for something that can work on your own benefit that will look like what we want to do. But if you know how to do this on a virtual
Hello,
machine,
Mr. Sir.
yes, go ahead, I'm listening. Someone just called my attention. Okay, I hope you guys are getting me.
Yes, we are getting you.
Okay, so we are done with the installation wizard. So we want to promote this server to a domain controller. We will promote this server to a domain controller by coming here and click on the promote this server to a domain controller. Okay, once you click on the promote this service to a domain controller, first we will be prompted with the deployment stage. Okay, deployment configuration. Okay, you have other three options, which is the add a domain controller to an existing domain, add a new domain to an existing forest, add a new forest. Okay, we want to select add a new forest. This is a new term, forest. What is forest? Forest is simply a group of domains. If you remember from the beginning of this lecture, a domain is a computer network where the domain controllers house all of the users, computers, and resources information in a local directory. Okay, a forest is simply a group of domains where there are separate group of domain controllers, and all that information is controlled on an individual three-domain base, but all belong to the same forest. Okay, we don't have a forest yet, so we will need to create one. We will be prompted with this. We click on this, and we will be prompted with this to root domain name. Okay, root domain names. You might be thinking of something like google.com. You can type here google.com, for example, or facebook.com, okay, or yahoo.com. But in a Windows domain control, domain name does not reflect, should not be exist in the internet. You should not choose something that already exists on the internet, okay? But rather a record that all the computers, you should choose a name that will serve as a record that all the computers and all of the user accounts use to look up resources within the domain. I could enter something like google.com as my root domain name. However, anytime somebody within the domain try to access something with the domain name google.com, the computer will think that google.com is a resource, not a site or not a domain name controller. It's a resource. Okay, I can't use something that already exists on the internet. No, you have to avoid using anything that exists on the internet. Instead, we should use a domain name that does not exist on the internet. Okay, use anywhere else within our domain as a web record or any other type of resources. A good example is to use .com, like .local. .local will be the best type of domain control name that you can use that does not exist on the internet, because .local address cannot exist on a public domain name. Okay, so I am going to use, for example, this code server, we already name it system admin and security 001. So I will use system admin and security 02 dot local. We will use this as our root domain name. So anytime any computer or resources that connected to our domain, if they're looking for a file or resources, all the computers users will look for the results in the system admin and security 2.local. We click next. Okay, next we will set up our forest and domain functions level. The functions level of a forest or a domain is simply a set of features that allows on the domain as a whole. This is mainly controlled by what version of Windows servers are activated. Okay, domain controllers within your domain. We already have the version of Windows Server 2012. Okay, we will just leave it at that. So here we will type our the password for our Active Directory service restore module. I want to choose a password. And again, okay. Once you're done with the password, okay, here it's asking us to do the DNS service deployment. Here we will not set our DNS service to be delegated. No, and we will describe more about DNS service later. But basically, it is simply a record of all the computers and devices within the domain network and their IP address that are associated with them at a global catalog. Okay, it's simple to record of all of the resources that exist on the domain controllers and are advertised to all the users and computers based on their permissions. Okay, the primary domain controller that we are going to set up now have to be a global catalog. Okay, so we continue and allow it to set up the global catalog. Because it is first domain controls, you also see that the reader only domain controllers is gray. It's fade away, that you cannot install the reader only domain controllers. Okay, it's fade out, which is not allowing you to enable it. Here we have our NetBIOS domain name, which is System Administration and Security 02. We continue our installation. Okay. Now Windows Server will be checking to make sure that all of the prerequisites for becoming a domain controllers are met. It will give you a warning in case anything needs to be brought attention to. The first item is a warning about security. For example, here, you can see it gives us warning. It checked all the prerequisites and now it's giving us warning. The first item is about security, okay? Setting up Windows Server 2012 domain control by default. That is turned on to allow compatibility in cryptography with older version of server system. This is a potential security risk because all the cryptography algorithms are sometimes weak and subject to vulnerability. So it's giving you this warning that this can happen and it can cause a security risk. Okay, it will give you different warning, but after all, this is a default, and it's also telling you that DNS cannot be delegated for some reason. Okay, because we agree that DNS is we want to skip it because it's just controlling all the resources and their IP address, which is the devices, computers, and users connected to your domain network. So we just want to go ahead and install it. Please remind me about time. We give it a little time for waiting for our DNS installation to finish. And
Yeah,
then
Mr. Sir.
yes.
Yeah, I was trying to talk to you, but later on the connection went off. With
Okay.
regards to the tools that you were requesting,
Yes.
yeah, like some of the tools, like the ones that you are not having, maybe you can just list them down. Maybe some of us might be having the tools
Yeah, that's true.
so that
But
it can yeah.
you know, this is institutional practice. It should not come out from outside. It should be provided by
Okay.
the institution, because sometimes you also have to be very careful when you're dealing with such things, because if something went
Yeah.
wrong, they might trace it back to that level and say it where, well, students were doing practice on a particular server, or they were doing practice and they bring these tools and servers, and we don't know if they're the one that tamper with our network or with our server or with our resources, whilst what we was
Okay.
doing has nothing to deal with what happened. But you know, it's very critical to trace things back to uh anyway. I really don't want to do that, because I just want them to provide it, or if the institution cannot provide it for us, we just take what is available, or maybe we create our own tutorial classes outside the school, and we want to do, if we want to do that and we have the time for that, we can create our own tutorial outside the class, outside the school domain, and then we check the software that we need and we collect all those softwares, and then we sit down to do the practical part. Because this
Yeah.
course, when I was doing this course, I was taking to a physical class, a physical lab, given a computer, given a CD drive, asked me to install and run everything. So which I did. So after we finished installing the DNS and our Active Directory configuration wizard is done and is successful, you can see that this server was successfully configured as a domain controller. It will now restart and allow us to sign in again. Now we know that our server is promoted to a domain controller. So we have a domain controller already set up now with our server. Okay, it's asking you to please wait, so they will apply all the security updates and finish the setting up wizard for your server now to be a domain controller. And then from there, we can move on to Active Directory roles and services and features. So we start to add our roles and our server. In the next few lectures, you will learn how to configure these services as well as add other, so that our service is now a domain controller and we are installing Active Directory domain service. We need to have we need to configure Active Directory. Okay. Well, what is Active Directory? It is the foundation of the Windows domain. It is essentially a catalog of all the registered objects in the domain, and it provides authenticity service. and security principles that allow these users and computers to access the resources that may be granted permission to. Okay, for example, but I'm going above ahead of the lecture, so let's just wait for the server to appear. So I will show you the Active Directory. We are going to provide an example of a real world scenario. We are going to provide some realistic example of how Active Directory might be set up, and we can go through and actually configure it as if we are setting up our first real business going to work with the computer. In a normal environment, in your working place, you will be asked to set up your server, and then you set. After installing the server and promote it to a domain controller, you then now set the Active Directory. So you use your institutional branches and headquarters computer users to set your Active Directory and allow people to work or using your server to monitor everything, to store resources, to allow computers to access resources, to allow people to belong to particular groups, different working environment, and access resources in different places as well. So that is the Active Directory server management that you're going to set. So now we are pumped to log in again. I told you before that you will press Control Alt and Delete to be able to log into your virtual machine again. So we enter our administrative password that we created before. We go in. Now our server is a domain controller. So we want to go ahead and then set up our Active Directory. Let's allow the server management wizard to settle in, and then, yeah. This will take
Hello?
a few minutes. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, Microsoft Team, how effective is it in terms of file sharing?
Microsoft?
Team.
What do you mean how effective in terms of file sharing? I think it's purposely for sharing files.
Yeah, like in terms of security wise.
Yes, in terms of security wise, Microsoft are very secure now because they, even if you want to buy, let's say Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Office, now
Yes.
most of the free versions are fading away, and they just give you a trial version of some months, and then they will start to charge you. And if you're using the Windows 8 or Windows 10 in your computer or servers from 2016 upwards, they automatically on the real-time security updates. Even if you off it after 5 minutes, Microsoft will automatically on it again.
Okay.
So in terms of security, they're really progressing, and it's very, I can say the recent applications and software they're releasing, they're very secure.
Okay.
So we want to go ahead and then configure our domain, our Active Directory user and computer. So you do that by going to the tools here. You as a server management, you go to the tools, you can see Active Directory user and computer. Can you see this option?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, you click on the Active Directory user and computer and allow the wizard to appear. Okay, this is what you have. Okay, you can see our system admin and security 02.local. Can you see that file? We have it .local domain. If we explain that, we will see some of the, if we expand it, we will see some of the inbuilt organizational units that comes by default. Now, when we are structuring our Active Directory domains, my role or term is always to start with the biggest organizational unit. I can think of or something different, but in our own case, because we want to set up a real life scenario, a real life example that we want to work on. Okay, the example is, for example, we will use a eBaba. eBaba is an online business. It has one headquarters location, okay, and it has two sale locations. And in this headquarter location, we have the administrative department, we have the accounting department, and we have the HR department. In other two sales location, we have the sales staffs, and we have the delivery staff, and we have the management staff. This is a this is something that I just write down, a scenario, a real world business. So you classify this as your own institution that you're working. So this is the institution I am working. I am working for eBaba. Okay, and eBaba have one headquarters and they have two sales locations, which is Banjul and Kanifing. Okay, in the headquarters, they have the HR there, they have the administrative department there, they have the accounting department there. But in Banjul, they have sales department, they have delivery department, they have management department. In Kanifing, they have the same thing. Okay, sales, delivery, and management. Okay. So we are going to start with our biggest organizational unit. So once you click on this, that's the system admin and security 02.local. You can see that these are some of the inbuilt organizational units that we have, which is not exactly what we want. So we will create our own organizational unit. Remember, we have an example of a business that we want to run here, that we want to duplicate, so that the server will manage that business, which is eBaba, which is an online business. Okay, and it has one headquarter and two sales location. So from here, we will go here right inside this box. Okay, go to new and go to organizational units. Okay, you click on the organizational unit, it will prompt you to create the organizational unit that you want to create. We will start with the biggest one and then go to the small ones. We have headquarters, but remember my H is not working and G on my keyboard, so I will just use quarters. Some of my keyboards are not working, so you understand it like that. Can you see we have headquarters created as organizational unit in our system admin and security 2 server? Can you see the organizational unit headquarters created?
Yeah.
So we want to create our two sales the same. We go to the server and then we want to create two sales department, which is organizational units Banjul, which is eBaba. You write E-B-A-B-A Baba dash Banjul. Okay. We have eBaba dash Banjul created. And then we create another organizational unit, but come here to the server and click on it, and then right click inside the box, and then you will give the wizard to choose the organizational unit that you want. We have E Baba, that's Kanifin. My G is not working in my keyboard, so I will just leave it at that. I hope you just understand that. So now you can see we have a new organizational unit, which is headquarters, E Baba Banjul and E Baba Kanifin. So our domain selection tool, right click on the middle of the screen and click on the organizational unit that we want to add. For example, here we already create the headquarters and we already create the eBaba Banjul and eBaba Kanifin. So we want to go inside eBaba, inside the headquarters, and we want to create, this time we want to create groups, because we know we have how many groups in the previous scenario when I explained the institution. In the headquarters, we have what? Administrative. We have administrative department. Make sure you check the group security and you check the global. If you remember, in the installation of when we are promoting our server to be a domain controller, it asks us to download the global catalog and also to agree for the group management policy. So make sure you check the global and the security, so it will apply to all the group as well. And then you click OK. We already created a group, which is the administrative group. So in our headquarters, we also want to create the other group, which is let's say we have the administrative group, and then we have the what? In our headquarters, we have management, right? No, we have accounting. My G is not working, so I will follow the same global and security and then click OK. We want to also create HR because they're doing all the recruiting here. You click group and then HR. My H is not working, but know that .R, no, just know that the R means HR. You create OK. So in my headquarters, I have the accounting department and I have the administrative department and I have the HR department. Okay, all of this group, I created them. So in my headquarters, I will also create computers. Okay, but computers belong to organizational units. You will write computers dash which means these are the computers that belongs to the headquarters. Okay, and if you come here, you can see the computers that belong to the headquarters. You can see the different groups that work within the headquarters. We will do the same thing. We go to eBaba Banjul. Okay, come here, create new, but here we just want to start with organizational unit called computer. Okay, computer does Banjul. We know that these are the computers that are in Banjul. Simply, it is good that you identify this things based on the organizational unit that they belong to. So once you log into the server, you can monitor all the computers and you can know the location of all this computers that are belonging to Banjul. You know that these computers are in Banjul. If a computer have a problem or requesting or request deny or any errors, you don't need to ask the question, where is this computer located, or a physical location, because you have access to all these computers in your server and you know their physical location, and then you can configure it based on their physical location. You also have these groups that you created in different regions of your sales department or headquarter department. So you know if a particular staff is working in this, what right they need to access and what group they need to access and what group policies need to apply to them. This is the reason why you will create this in different units, and you need to identify the name as well. So once we create the computer Banjul, we want to create the groups that we have in Banjul. Okay, we already know that we have the sales department in Banjul, right? Sales dash Banjul. Okay, this is a group that we have, sales dash Banjul. Okay, we also know that we have a delivery group. When you buy, this is eBaba, it's online business. When you buy something, they sell it to you. There is a sales department and there is a delivery department. Delivery does. The reason why we need to set up, for example, sale does Banjul, delivery does Banjul, it's because we have two different sales locations. And once you did not specify the particular department or group that you're referring to, your security setting up or policies can mix up or can be difficult to identify a particular staff in a particular group. But if you identify it based on the organizational unit, it make it easy. So here we also have a management staff. We have a management. I already told you that my G is not working and H, so this is not typo error, but because of this keyboard. So just know that this is management that I want to write. Now we have the delivery, the management, and the sale. These are the departments in Banjul. And you have staffs in the delivery, you have staffs in the management, and you have staffs in the sale. So, okay, we come to Canifin now. We go to Canifin, and then we create new. We want to create another organizational unit, which is computer. Computers does Canifin. Okay. Now we create computers does Canifin. If you come here to Canifin, you can see we already create an organizational unit called computer. We can also expand this. Okay. Do you know that we are working on something in Canifin? Here, if you just click this one, it will create a group automatically for you. No need to go back and create group or right click and do it. You can also click on this just button. It will create the organizational unit for you, like computer.Canifin. You can click this, it will create the user for you. But in my own case, I just want to do it like this, because this is a tutorial, the hard way, so you can understand all the functions. So here we want to create a group. Remember, in Canifin, we also have sales department. Sales does Canifin. Okay. We also have the delivery department. We go to new and then set another group, which is delivery does Canifin. My keyboard, I keep mentioning this because I don't want you to think that I don't know how to spell that, but because of the keyboard. Okay, we have also management. We want to specify here because we just write management in the previous one. So here management Canifin. Okay. Now, after we are done creating our computers, our groups, the next step is to create our users. We have to create our users now because we have this account department. Who is working in the account department? Who is working with this computer? Who is assigned to a particular computer? We don't know yet. So we want to create our user. Okay, one user. Someone just give me your name. Gabriel. Gabriel, unfortunately, your name is not working, so I will not able to use you because my G is not working, so I cannot write G. Ibrahim Asar, that's me. So you can see your server access to resources, which is your domain name. It's at student system admin and security 02.local. I told you that you cannot create anything that exists on the internet like google.com or something like that, because this now the server will associate this as a resource for all your computer users and everything. So we will use my first name, just Ibrahima is okay. Ibrahima at system admin and security 02.local. Okay, and then you create next. I want to set up a password for this person. Okay, I want to repeat the password as well. Here, can you see user must change password at next login? Normally, if you're given a password, even UTG, if you, as a new hello, what's happening? Can you please mute your mic? Hello. Can you please mute your mic? Your mic is interfering with the class.
Ami Cisse.
Okay. Your mic is really interfering with the class. Let me try. Let me try to just exit her. You have to be very careful because if someone has his number, can you just call her in the background to
Try to mute her. You should be able to mute her.
I'm trying that, but there is no option.
Okay, let me see if I
Yeah,
can.
the first person to log into the class should be the one. Maybe everybody's just try to mute her. The one that is able to mute her is the one who is the first person to log into the class.
All of you should try. All of you should try. The first person log into the class should able to mute this person. I was not the first person to log into the class. This is why I don't like online classes, because he's not even paying attention to what we are doing. He's online, but he's not even paying attention to what we are doing. We're just talking, and it's not like you're just wasting your time. You'll be here talking the whole day.
I'm sorry, I don't have that number. I thought I had.
Let's proceed.
Okay, can we continue? I mean, can we continue?
Yes,
Sure,
please.
you may proceed, sir.
Yes, you can.
Are you saying the presentation again?
Yes.
Yes, we
You
are
see,
seeing
this
it.
is one of the reasons I don't like online classroom, because you will be logging online and you will not even pay attention. You will just be there, said, yeah, I log in, I am attending the class, but you will not do anything. I know it from my younger brother. He's also attending UTG. So I would find him in his room sleeping, and he's logging to the class. I would hear the phone, the lecturer explaining, and he would be in his blanket. If he was not even aware that he's distracting the class, like he's logging, but he parked the phone somewhere else. So let's just continue. Now we set up our organizational unit, which is our headquarters, and our two sales department, which is Ibaba, Banyul, and Kanifin. We also set up our computers in this different unit. We also set up our department. We have the administrative department, accounting department, HR department in headquarters. We also want to set up the people working in this department. That's our users. You come here and click new and click on users. Okay, so in this case, I don't want to use my name. So someone give me your name.
Use my name.
Do we have someone called Jara Mane, right?
Yes, that's Father
Yes.
Jaraman.
Okay. Fatu Jara Mane, and then I will just use Fatu Jara as our first user. Okay. So I want to set a password for Fatu Jara Mane. So once Fatu Jara Mane login, it will able to have a password. Okay, but then default company password, they should have a default password. For example, the word password with capital P and small e, and the rest of the words, everything should be in a small case. In my case, I would use capital E, capital, what is Fatu Jara Fatu name? It's capital F and small j, that's Fatu Jara. Okay, and then I'll just give it a random number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, capital F, small j, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So user must change password at next login. Once I finish setting up this user account, Fatu Jaramane, and I allow him to log in, I'll give him the login details that your name is your email is Fatu Jara at system admin and security SAS02.local. Once you log into the server to your computer or to your any other resources, it will prompt you to change password. Here is where you do that as the system administration and security. You, the system admins, will use this, check this so that user must change password next login. Because if you remember in class, there was a day I told you that you should not know the password of the other people. No matter how you are the security admin security, you should not know their password, because whatever happened, they will relate it back to you to say that this Peter Hamna Suma password is not only me that can access this computer. So you should avoid that. The best way to avoid that is to tick this one, that user must change password next login. Okay, user cannot change password. Don't do that, because if you do that, which means if you tick this button, which means you want to know the password. Because if user cannot change password, you want to know the password. Password never expire. If you click this one, user will not able to change this password, because this password will stay there. Account is disabled. If you do that, the user will not even have access to login. So you just tick this one, user must change password next login, and you click OK. It will ask you, it will give you a summary of what you need to do, okay, which is the option to change password next login, and you click finish. You can see a user is added. Now Fatu Jaramane is added to our institution, which is the headquarters. Okay, so what we want to do now, Fatu Jaramane is now working for the headquarters department. Okay, but we don't know which position is Fatu Jaramane working and which department in the headquarters is it working. So okay, we want to add another individual. Let's say we add another user who is also working there. Someone give me your name. Just give me the short names. Gabriel, I know your name, but
Alpha.
Alpha. ALPHA, right?
Alpha, yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry, the H is not working, so I'll just leave it like that. Give me your last name.
Jalo.
I like this name.
Alpha Jalo. So I'll just use ALPA as your login details. So okay, I would do the same thing. Capital A as Alpha, small j as Jalo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Capital A as Alpha, small j as Jalo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I will click next. Okay, finish up this. Okay, now we have 2 people working in the headquarters. So far, HR recruit 2 people. Okay, once they recruit 2 people, now we want to do something. For example, we want to go to the accounting department, because this is online sale. Okay, an online sale, you must have an accounting department, and it is very important. And then another person should work for administrative to able to regulate the administrative in and out of the administrative. Okay, So let's go to Banjul. Okay, we go to Banjul. We want a say. Oh, sorry. We are in Banjul now. We want to create a new user. Oh, sorry. We want to go to Banjul and create a new user. Someone give me your name. You will be a salesperson in Banjul.
Lamin Bolonja.
Make it quick.
Lamin Bolonja.
Lamin, I will just use Lamin B Njai. Okay. Lamin B will be your login password, your login name. Let's say capital L, small n as Njai 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Capital L, small n 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, Lamin, you're recruited by HR and now you're working in Banjul. Okay, we want to have another person working in Banjul. Give me another name. Make it quick. Give me a name.
Nice easy.
Lai Cisse.
Nice easy, yeah.
I will just use Cesse. Okay. L, that's Lai, small C, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Capital L, small C, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. That's Lai Cisse. Okay. We are done with Lai. So we go to Kanifing as well. We want to also have some staff working at Kanifing, not just Banjul. And so give me a name. I know Amibaji, right?
Amibaji.
No, G is not working. Amibaji, we cannot use Amibaji. G is not working.
It's J, not G. There's no G in my son.
Amibaji. Ami A B 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay. A B 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. And then we click next. We finish that up. Okay. In Kanifing, we want to have another one. Now I will use is. Ismail. G is not working, but just know that it's you. Ismail. Next, capital I, small b, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Capital I, small b, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. These are things that you let your staff know as the system admin, that the default password is their first name cap and their second name small and 1 2 3 up to 8. This is something that you let them know automatically. Once you recruit them, the letter should have all the slogans detail. So we have different staff in different locations. Okay, we go back to headquarters. We feel like we have different groups. Okay, if you click on a group, that's the administrative group, and we have property. Okay, we go to members. We have no members in this group. We create the unit, but we have no members, and the group don't belong to any particular member as well. So what we want to do is we choose some of the staff that we have so far, which is Fatu Jaramane. We want to go to property. Okay, Fatu Jaramane is here. Okay, first we discuss this. Address. Here you can insert the full address of this individual. The street, the PO box, everything you can insert it here. Again, you can come here to see Fatu Jaramane login time. But I want to discuss this after checking the members, the membership of this person. Okay? Let's discuss that later on. Add to a group. We want to add Fatu Jaramane to work to a particular institution. We want him to work on the administrative, because we have the first thing that you set up in an institution is the administrative, so they can design the policies or whatever, or the structure the business and go on. So we want to search for admin. If you're doing that, click on the name of the person that you want to add. We know that Fatu Jaramane, we recruit him to work on the administration. Right click on it, go to add to a group. You click on the group. Here you cite the group, whether the group exists in the server or not. If the group does not exist in the server, you cannot add him. So you cannot do this manually. You can only come here to add this individual. Administrative. So you check names. You see, once you do check name, it underlines administrative. It means administrative, you have a group, a unit, an organizational unit in your department called administrative, and you want Fatu Jaramane to work in that department. Once we click OK, what did you see? The add to a group operation was successfully completed. You press OK. Okay, but again, we have few staff working for the main time for now. So Fatu Jaramane will also be working for accounts. He will be the CEO, but he will also work for accounts. So we want to add Fatu Jaramane to accounting as well. Accounting. Once I click check name, first before you add, click check name. Check if this name exists in your unit, in your organization or not. Once you click check name, you press OK. It added. So we know that Fatu Jaramane is added to two groups, which is accounting and the administrative. We come to Alpha, and we want to add Alpha to what? HR. We know H is not working, so we just type R, and we do check name. Okay, so once we type R and we check name, we have different options. Do you know why we have different options? Because we have different R's in our system admin and security service, and we only specify R because the H is not working in my computer. So it will allow you to select the R that you mean. That's why if you have different location, for example, if you have delivery, if you go to the next organizational unit, which is Banjul, you will see that we have delivery in Banjul and delivery in Kanifing. So once I assign any staff to a delivery in Banjul, it will automatically check both delivery in Banjul and Kanifing and ask you to choose the one that you want. In this case, we just choose R because HR is what we mean, and Alpha should belong to HR. Once we click that, we know that we have a administrative unit called R in our department, and we click that one, which is supposed to be HR, and Alpha is added to the HR. So we come here, we come to Kanifing, we come here, we want to add Ismaila to, let's say, delivery. If you check name, you see, we have delivery Banjul and delivery Kanifing. It will be wrong if you take delivery Kanifing, is working in at Kanifing. So you cannot assign is to work in delivery Banjul. That would be awkward, which means is tax on everything should be in Banjul. Should be in Banjul, and its location is Kanifing. So you have to, that's why it will prompt you all the organizational unit that you have with the same name, that you choose the one that best suit the person, which means we know Ismaila Bojang is working in Kanifing, so we will choose delivery Kanifing and we press OK. Is added to delivery Kanifing. Okay, is a delivering agent, and we also know is part of the management team in Kanifing. Okay, so we want is to be part of the management team in Kanifing. But if you check, you have management and you have management Kanifing. So is in management Kanifing because management only exists in Banjul. So management Kanifing is a sub branch of management in Kanifing. So we add is to management Kanifing. Okay, that's successful. We go to Banjul. We want to add delivery. We want to add delivery Banjul, Lamin. Okay. We also want to add Lai. Lai will be a sale. Once we check sales, we have sales Banjul. Lamin Lai should be a sales agent in Banjul. Okay. We come back to Kanifing. We have Ami Bojang. Ami will be sale. Ami Baji will be sale. We have sales where Kanifing, right? And we add Ami Baji sales Kanifing. Okay. So for the purpose of this lecture, it will take us time if you want to add all of them here. So we just stick to these few names. So now what I want to do is I want to go to the administrative group and right click on it and go to properties. If you go to properties, you check members. You can see Fatu Jaramane is working for the administrative department now. Okay. And the administrative department is just the administrative department. But okay, what happened? We want to go to Kanifing. That Ismail Abojang is also working for administrative department sales. It's working for sales and management in Kanifing. So if East is occupying the role of management and sales, if belong to these two groups, we want East to be part of the administrative of this company. So if we call for meeting, we will call the head of the branch manager in Kanifing and the head of the branch manager in Banjul. They're also part of the administrative department. So we want to add East to administrative group. Okay. Because my spelling is wrong. It's typo error. We check this. We know there is administrative department, we add it. So we go back to headquarters. We know all these other departments don't have any administrative department, but headquarters only have administrative department. You come to the administrative department in headquarters and check for properties and go to check members. Can you see we have Fatu Jaramane and Ismail Abojang. Ismail Abojang is working in Kanifing, but is also part of the administrative department in the main headquarters, which means he's the branch manager or something in Kanifing. Okay, we want to go to Banyul as well. Okay, we want to use Lai. Lai is also a sales agent, but it's recently promoted to be part of the administrative department. We click OK. Lai is added to the administrative department. If you go to Banjul, if you go to the main headquarters, you go back to the administrative department, check the properties of the administrative department, check members. You can see that you have 3 people now recruited to serve as administrative member. Fatu Jaramane is located in the main headquarters. Ismail Abojang is in Kanifing branch. Lai Sise is in Banjul branch, but they are all part of the administrative unit as well. Can you understand the different groups and the setting of the user accounts and the user groups?
Yes.
Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to Kanifing, and I feel like the workload in Kanifing, it's little. It's not much. The workload in Kanifing is not much, but the workload in the main headquarters is too much, and we need more staff there. So Amibaji is already in Kanifing, but it's not doing anything in Kanifing, or he's not doing much in Kanifing. So which means basically East can be taking over everything in Kanifing. So, or we have other staffs that we are not yet to list. So we want to transfer Amibaji to Kanifing headquarters, to main headquarters. So what happened is, if you transfer Amibaji to main headquarters, are you asking Amibaji to pack up his computers and everything and move with it and copy all the files that he was working on at Kanifing and move with those things in Banjul? No, you don't do that. In a real service environment, you just move the person resources to the headquarters resources. Amibaji will just sign out from that computer and then walk with empty hand to Banjul. Once it arrives in Banjul, there is a computer set up for him already, an empty computer. He will sit on that computer and sign in his username, and everything will transfer to Banjul. Now he will be working with the same computer, the same resources in Banjul. So what we want to do is, we don't want Amibaji to copy this file, say, I need this file, I need that file. No, just sign out and go to Banjul. You're moved to Banjul now. Pack your bags and go. Just your fit normal goods. In the server here, you as the server management, as the system admin and security, you will manage the server and you will manage the resources of Amibaji. You allow Amibaji to move to Banjul. They transfer him to Banjul. So you come here and move user. Where do you want to move the user? We want to move him to the headquarters. This is the headquarters. Amibaji is now moved to headquarters. So you move Amibaji to headquarters. If you come to Kanifing, where is Amibaji? It's no more to be found. If you go to headquarters, where is Amibaji? You can find Amibaji here. Okay, and we want Amibaji to be working because he's a sale agent, and sale is not going much in Kanifing, and East is handling that. So we want Amibaji now to move to headquarters and be the account officer there. So we want to come here and add Amibaji to account officer. Accounting and check name. We have it, and we add Amibaji to accounting officer. So if you come here, accounts, go to properties, you can see, if you go to members, you can see you have Alpha and you have Amibaji and Fatu Jaramane now. Okay, so what we want to do is, we already know that Fatu Jaramane is the head of the main department. So it will be hectic for him to both working for the administrative department, taking oversee of the whole company, and also working as an account officer. But because the company was young, so he can oversee these two positions. But now that we have new staff that is assigned to work as the director of accounting, so we want to move Fatu Jaremane now. So he will delegate all his responsibility to Amimane, and Amimane is now going to be the account officer, because Fatu Jaramane was just overseeing that position. So we want to remove him from this. You click Fatu Jaramane's name, and then you remove him from this group. So if you come here and you apply the changes, press OK. If you go to Fatu Jaramane's name and you click on property, you will see that if you go to member of, Fatu Jaramane is only a member of the administrative unit. But also come here, go to Ismaila Bojang, and you see that each will belong to a member of a different group, because if you come to, you see, East is a member of the administrative group, is a member of the delivery Kanifing, and is member of management Kanifing. Because these positions are pending, and we need to add more students or more people working. And then, because East is now overseeing this position, once we add more people to oversee this position, we will stop, or we will move East out of these positions. Okay, we don't need to add or remove anything from it. So from now, I want to stop here, and then, because we already finished the time, and then by next class we will continue our setting up our roles and responsibilities, and explain the deep concept of the roles, the permissions, the rights, and who have this right to do what and who don't have the right to do this, who have right to access file. We'll go into more in-depth knowledge of this server configuration and installation. But know that this is a real life scenario, and you check this headquarters or this administrative unit as in your own institution or in your own organization. So the best thing to do is to download the software, download the virtual machines, download the Windows server, install it on your own. If you're working for a particular institution, try your institution and know the number of people working there. Few people, just type their name and try to set up your server environment. This gives you experience, a broad experience of exactly how this server installation is done in an organization level. So if you're taking to an interview, or if you're taking somewhere to do this work, it will be very easy for you, because it's something that you do by yourself. So you learn by repeating or by experience that you learn. So for that being the case, we will stop the class here today, and then so the floor is open for correction because we already exist time. And I hope the practical session it was interesting. I'm not sure if you guys really like it or not.
Mr. Sir.
Yes. Wait. So should I stop the recording for now so you can use the recording version to do the practice?
Yeah. So.
Yes, please.
Mr. Sir, during creating the organization units.
Yes.
I made a mistake by creating the OUs the OUs inside headquarters instead of creating it in the domain controller. So I was trying to move the OUs from the headquarters to the domain controllers, but it's given access denied.
Yeah, because you cannot move it. You have to forget that OU. Just rename it and give it a different name as it is an existing OU. But it's useless. No one is going to occupy any position or any computer or anything there. Just rename it a different name and leave it there and go back to your server and click on the server management and now create the new OU that you want to install.
Okay, that's right.
Yes.
Mr. Sir.
Yes.
Thank you. The practicals were very interesting. I just have a question regarding the password, the password that you create for your employees, or it's like a one-off password. When you log in, you have to change it to your own personal password. My question is, that password that the staff has changed to his personal password, does the super admin have access to view this new password that was created?
No, once the super admin will, that's why it will, during the password configuration, it will select change password next prompt. Once you change password next prompt, you as the staff, the super admin cannot see the password. Password will be, once it's viewed the computer, the password will be in a hashtag. Okay, it will be encrypted. He cannot see the password. Only you, the user who set the password, can have access to the password or know the password. In the next lecture, we will discuss more about that permission and password, who can access the password, who cannot access the password.
Okay. Because I'm talking based on experience, that's why I'm asking. But when we reach that level, then I'll understand it more.
Okay, that's fine. So are you saying in your OU, if you're working in a particular OU, if you set the password to your junior staff, are you saying you can still access the password once they set a new password?
That is not me. It happened to me that somebody told me my password after I have changed it. So that's why
maybe you when you're changing the password, you allow, there are buttons that you need to check out. If you fail to check out those buttons, you're sharing your password with them, with the super admin. If you share your password with the super admin, he will have access to the password. But if you uncheck that portion, that you don't share your password with anyone, it's only your password, so no one can access the password.
Okay, maybe it was automated. I didn't share password. Yes, but it's okay. I'll understand more. Thank you.
In the next lecture, we will talk about more about passwording, permissions, and files that you can access, and files you can access, and the permission and the login and the tracking and everything that remains in the server configuration. You will have a more broad perspective of what we were doing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You finished your time. You are now eating my time. It's 10:40. We should stop at 10:30. But go ahead, no problem. I will listen.
Okay, okay, Mr. Sir, thanks for the lectures today. I think it looks good. Looking at the practical sessions. We know recently there has been a lot of difficulties when someone is like a staff.
Mr. Sir.
Like someone is talking. I'm talking.
Yes. Go, Pap. Say.
Okay,
Hello?
okay, the
Yeah,
activation of
yeah,
user accounts. But you did mention that you will deliberate on that maybe in our subsequent classes, because that's also important. If a staff also leaves, the user account has to be deactivated.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes,
something like that. Yeah,
yes. But because of time, we cannot do this in one
yeah,
lecture.
yeah.
So
Okay,
next
okay.
lecture, we will deliberately go on to that thing:
All right.
activate,
Okay.
deactivate, suspend an account, and then sometimes you all even have a staff that is working for just contract based. That is a
Yeah,
particular period of time, and
yeah,
the time the person contract is expiring. So you will set the person's account to expire at that particular time. Once the time comes, the person will no longer able to log into the system. It will automatically deactivate the account unless a new admission letter or a new contract letter is being given, and then you will come to present that letter to the system admin, and you extend the time based on the letter that you receive. But if it is a contract-based lecturers or a contract-based contractors, you just give them as a particular time based on the letter of acceptance that they have or the contract letter that they have. You also set their accounts to valid only for that particular time. So we don't worry about that. We will discuss more of that in the next lecture. We have everything that we want to know about the SAP management system.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Alpha, go ahead. Mauro. Mauro Alpha. I think Alpha is off the grid or network issue. So someone else, if you don't have any question, we call it a class. If you have question, I'm still here.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up for now. We have a couple of things, and we will have to get ready for e-business. That's going to be 11
Okay,
a.m. Yeah,
okay,
so we
okay.
can
That's
we can call
almost
it out.
here.
It was a
So,
beautiful class. It was a very well presented class. Thank you. Really well
all
appreciated.
right. Thank you all for the presentation. It's okay.